doing research on a possible new book on a death penalty case in California. We're in San Francisco right now. I'm at the law offices of Oric, where this law firm, this very large law firm, is representing Kevin Cooper pro bono. They took up his habeas appeals back in late 2003, before Kevin Cooper was scheduled to be executed on February the 10th, 2004. Kevin Cooper was a prisoner. He was a convict at the California Institute for Men in Chino, California, which is about 35 miles east of Los Angeles. It's in horse country, farm country, and they put him in minimum security after they had him there for about a month in receiving. They put him in minimum security. He steps through a hole in a fence, and this is a kind of a dormitory setting, and walks away. And he hoofs it like 3 or 4 miles down to this really secluded horse country area. He stumbles onto this one house that appears to be empty. There's no cars in the driveway, no lights on. Peeks his head in the door of the house, can't hear anything, so he goes on in. He holes up there for a couple of days, calls a couple of people trying to raise money. He didn't have any money. And then this was a Friday, he escapes. Saturday, a woman comes into the house looking for like a coat or something, and that spooks him. He thinks, I better get out of here. People could be moving back in, or I'll get caught. Saturday night, he hitchhikes. He goes out down this dirt road. Said he falls many feet, down this dirt hill, and gets to a road. Gets out to the highway, and he hitchhikes. First ride he catches takes him all the way to Mexico. He didn't know where he was going. He was going as far as they went, and they happened to go to Mexico, or right down to the border of Mexico. And you didn't need a passport or ID in those days to get into Mexico. This is 1980. This is 1983. So now he's down in Mexico. But that night, around midnight, a family, a mom, a dad, they're 41-year-old chiropractors, both of them. And they have a 10-year-old daughter and an 8-year-old son, and they have another kid who's 11 years old spending the night. They're all asleep, and they are just viciously attacked. Assailants with a hatchet, a knife, and either an ice pick or a screwdriver attack these 5 people. And it's incredible. I've seen the autopsy photos. They're something that nobody should ever see. But you have to, if you're going to do research, you got to look at them. It's brutal. There's over 140 wounds inflicted in these people, and they're very deep wounds, incredible wounds. But think of it: four people die from. The little 8-year-old boy, his throat is cut from his ear to his ear. He's hit with a hatchet in the forehead. He's stabbed in the back. His left lung collapses, and he's got 3 broken ribs. They think he's dead. They leave him. But he was the one least attacked. Everybody else had 20-plus gouges and wounds in them, separate wounds. There was blood everywhere. The photos of this room, it's incredible. Blood all over these white walls of this. All happened in the master bedroom. And I guess the kids are in their bedrooms. They hear their mother and father being attacked. And there's some pretty good indications of somewhat a defensive deal, because the father's fingers severed. There's hacks on their arms. The mom and dad, they're hacked on their arms. The 10-year-old girl's hacked on her arms. There's signs of a resistance here. So the killers then leave, and here's why I took this case. This is 12:01, 12:02, according to a report the police get the next day. Once these murders are discovered by the kid's father, the little boy who was spending the night, his father comes over looking for him the next day, and he finds them all. And he finds the little 8-year-old boy and gets him helicoptered out. They come and get him, save his life. But at 12:01 or so, there's the family's named the Ryans. They own a white station wagon, a Buick. A guy's trying to pull out of a driveway right below the Ryan's house, and they have to stop because of the speeding white station wagon coming down the road, the only paved road out of this secluded area. And the man driving, he notices that the driver's white. And his wife's with him, and she notices that there's 2 or 3 other young white males in the car. So when they hear about the murders on Sunday, they call up, this is in San Bernardino County, they call up the sheriff's office and report this. The little boy, the 8-year-old, he's taken to the hospital. Now his throat's been slashed, he can't talk. But a clinical social worker comes into the room, and he devises a method of communication where he prints out all 26 letters of the alphabet and 10 numbers, 1 through 0, 1 through 10. And he just says to the boy to point. So he asks him his age and stuff like this, his address. The kid gets all this right. So then he asks him, how many people attacked you? And first he points to 3, and then he moves that to 4. So then he goes for skin color. He compares if this guy's white. Is it like your skin color and mine, he asks him. And the kid goes to yes, Y-E, yes. Okay, so we've got that. A couple days later, the kid's in his hospital bed, and he's getting 24-hour guard protection by the county. So a guard's up there playing Uno with him, and Kevin Cooper's mugshot comes up on the TV, and the kid, unprompted, says to the deputy, he says, "That's not him." And then a day or so later, the kid's with his grandmother, his maternal grandmother, in the hospital room, and Cooper's picture comes up. It's all over TV, Kevin Cooper's picture, as being the one who did this. And his grandmother asked him directly, "Is that the man who did this to you?" He said, "No, not him." So we've got these, right here. I mean, you can't get clearer than this. We've got the two people seeing 3 white people drive out the deal, and we've got the kids saying it's 3 white people, 3 or 4 white people. And then, now this all happened June 5th. On June the 9th, there's a woman who lives in a town 45 miles to the east. She calls up the sheriff's office and says she is highly suspicious that her boyfriend was involved in the Chino Hill murders, because the night of the murders, like really pre-dawn, like 4 o'clock in the morning, he came home covered, his coveralls were blood splattered. Big time blood splattered. So bad that he just came home to take them off. He only stayed 5 minutes, long enough to get rid of them. He put them in his closet. And she also noticed that he wasn't wearing the brown t-shirt he had on, that she had given him earlier. And so the deputy comes out to the house, collects the coveralls, and writes on his report, collected blood-splattered coveralls. A woman says her boyfriend's possibly involved in the Chino murders, and enters them into the evidence room here at the sheriff. He calls up the lead detective on the case and says, "Here's what we got. Got this tip came through today, and I've got the evidence." Well, the lead detective isn't interested in it. Never comes out to get him. By then, the lead detective had focused in on Kevin Cooper, because 2 or 3 days after the murders were discovered, they go 125 yards away. They come to this vacant house where Cooper had holed up for 2 days. And they lift his prints. He's not trying to hide his prints in the house. They lift his prints, they match him, and they say, "My God, that's the escapee from Chino." But everybody's wondering where he is. We're surprised he's still in the area. Usually escapees just keep going. But he didn't have any money to go with. So they fix on him. And despite this evidence that they're getting, this really good leads and hard evidence, I mean, the blood-splattered coveralls. And around this time also, they find a blood-splattered, a woman calls in, she finds a blood-splattered blue t-shirt near this bar, about a half a mile from the Ryan's house. And deputies come out and get it, and they enter it in the logs that they've collected this evidence, and it is blood splattered. And so that spurs the lead investigator to search more thoroughly through this area around the bar. And they find a blood-stained tan t-shirt, Fruit of the Loom, size medium, just like the one this woman said her boyfriend, that she'd given her boyfriend. I mean, if this isn't the hit of all hits. So they take that into evidence, and doesn't stop them one nickel's worth, though, from going after Kevin Cooper. He is their fixation, and they made a huge racial thing out of it. These were white people, and Kevin Cooper's African American. They had him pictured as some kind of a maniacal super predator type. The media, I mean, they couldn't say his name without saying axe murderer, mass murderer. That's the only way they ever referred to him. Never just said Kevin Cooper. We never had any presumption of innocence in this case.